Thank you for joining me. I mean, I always look forward to chatting with you, Daisy. It's a pleasure, and I think you're on a hot streak. I mean, your last few movies, I've enjoyed all of them, and this one, I mean, your Annette is such a badass, and I'm telling everyone to see this movie. It's so wonderful.
Thank
And
you.
I chatted with Tom yesterday, such a sweetheart, and I was curious for you. I mean, seeing the script, like seeing him write it, checking in with him, and then reading, no spoilers, but like some of those amazing like plot twists in the third act and all that. I mean, how did you feel seeing them on the page and kind of visualizing how that would look? I mean, what were your sort of first reactions to what the story all amounted to?
Well, because I was so part of it all, I was really seeing it sort of come together in real time. And
Yeah.
I knew what Tom was writing was great. And I knew if we particularly got great people, we would really care about these characters and be invested enough to think, what the fuck is going on? And
Yeah.
where is it going? And I'm on this journey. Like I want to find out what's going on. Um, so that was very helped by casting amazing people, but certainly on the page, I mean, he really scripted all of it, so we knew exactly how it was going to play. And then to get that to the screen, we have an amazing director, Sam Yates, an amazing DP, and Laura Bellingham. And really, so much of the payoff of Act Three is how the rest of the film is shot and how everything is captured. And perspective wise, um you're questioning whether what you're watching is true and reliable, and so
Yeah.
much of that is how it's captured and the sort of suffocating nature of particularly what Annette's going through, and then the freedom that Ben has on this film set, and it's so full of life and full of joy, and how all of those things plot the course to Act Three. But certainly seeing it was like nice, because I mean, you hope, you read something and you hope that how it comes onto the screen is is as satisfying as you all are planning it to be. But certainly hearing people's responses to the last like 20 minutes of the film is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. And developing the story and script with Tom, I mean, did that feel like a sort of bonding exercise in your relationship, despite it being, this, the story about a disintegrating, marriage and turmoil and all that?
I think it's funny because there's an actor I worked with a few years ago and we bumped into him and he works with his partner and he goes, "Oh, how's it been?" And we were like, "It's been great." And I think, I mean, to obviously to work so closely with someone, I suppose it could be difficult in many ways. But I think the main reason it works with us is we have really similar taste in film. We know what we like and we love watching all sorts of different things. And we talk at length about what we're watching, um and even if we don't entirely agree, it's always a really interesting conversation because of course we're all bringing our own individual perspective to what we're seeing. And certainly with this, we really wanted to make a fun film, and so
Yeah.
much of it is really difficult, but we really wanted there to be a layer of fun and that discomfort to feel horribly funny.
Yeah.
um, and because we were so clear on our end goal, it was really a great process. And then having the team we had on board, it was really collaborative in that everybody knew the film we were making.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I love the end result. I can't wait to see it again. And yeah, it's wonderful. And when I was chatting with Tom again, nicest guy in the world, it's so wonderful. I mean, he was saying how when it came to actually shooting, he wasn't there for a lot of it. He was shooting his that wonderful show that he's in.
Yeah.
So I was curious for you. I mean, was that tough, not having him there on set for a lot of those days? I mean,
No,
and
I
no,
think that was very helpful for me.
okay,
Good. And to be honest, I think that was precisely the moment where it ended up being really good, because I think I would have felt a little inhibited. He's only ever, I mean, he's come to set to watch me in other things, but because of the nature of this role in particular, and because it's also personal anyway, it was quite good to actually have that physical distance, particularly because he was able to watch the dailies and
Right,
actually
right.
gives feedback as someone that wasn't there. Because often as well, I mean, when you go into a movie and you think, well, it looks great, it feels great, is it translating? And
Yeah.
certainly for him to every day be watching the rushes and saying yes was another layer of comfort that we were capturing what we had hoped we were.
Of course. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I didn't think about it that way. It's very
Yeah.
interesting. And I was reading about, how you were speaking out about how you thought at first that maybe this role was like so stressful that it was maybe giving you, causing physical
Yeah.
problems. And I was curious, like once you got to the bottom of it, I mean, did that realization maybe change how you viewed Annette as a character? Did that sort of change things for you?
It was funny. It actually wasn't during the shoot that I felt super poorly. It was
Okay.
afterwards. So
Okay.
I was looking back thinking, do I feel like this because of the lingering stress of playing her? And then, of course, because also I had been working pretty consistently. So I flew back from Sundance the day we started filming Magpie. And then
Oh, jeez.
I think the thing with producing something really from start to finish is the business side comes in a way that honestly is not really my favorite, but it's not just are we making the film we really want to see? It's are we going to be able to sell this? Are we going to be able to honor all of the people that have given their time to do this? So all of that, and I find emotional stress to physically affect me a lot anyway. Um, but certainly illness aside, it was weird. During the shoot, I sort of felt okay. Although I did literally feel my shoulders were halfway up to my ears by the end of it, just holding on to so much
Wow.
of that. But afterwards, I was, yeah, it took a little minute to get rid of that emotional stress. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot because even in the film, there isn't a real moment of release for Annette. Each time it almost gets there, it's just not quite. Um, so it's interesting in that way because in most films there's a big moment of emotional here we
Yeah.
are. But even the moment that we sort of called the Emma Thompson moment, the private moment removed from everyone on the staircase, even that she doesn't want to be overheard. She can't even truly let herself feel the shame and the disappointment of what she's just learned because she has to go back in and take her kids to the park. So I think holding on to that level of stress physically does manifest in a way.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, it's a wonderful performance. And I guess it was Sam who I was chatting with about it was your decision with your haircut, which I love, you know, talking about your character and having your hair that way. And I think that character in the movie comments on it at one
Yeah.
point.
Well, it
You're
was interesting because my hair was already short and
okay.
yeah, so I had already cut my hair and then I shaved it all off because I was like, yeah, I can shave my hair. Um And then it was interesting because when I cut my hair off originally, someone literally said to me, God, that's brave. And I remember thinking, what the fuck are you talking about? What? And the sort of scrutiny that people fall under, particularly women if they cut their hair off, and what that represents historically. Um, and of course, then there's there are amazing reference performances like Rosemary's Baby and that amazing
Yeah.
haircut, but actually it was something that had already happened and then we wove that in. And particularly that moment is so perfect because the person that said it to me didn't deliver it exactly like that, but it was such a moment of, oh my God,
Yeah.
uh is nothing not unwatched, does every choice that Annette makes have to be observed and has to be commented on. So actually it was sort of an accidental way into a great moment.
Well, it's great. Yeah, I love the moment in the movie. Yeah, I like commented on it,
Mm, mm,
and you're just like, yeah, so what? And
yeah.
and you look great. And yeah, and that is such a badass. And yeah, and you were talking about sort of like the behind the scenes stress of, and I can totally understand that. But were there elements of Annette's character that you found to be particularly stressful about portraying her? Did you find certain beats that like in your day-to-day shooting her that were really kind of taking their toll on you?
I mean, basically anything that wasn't anything in the first half of the film that didn't involve her child was stressful. And I think it was like sometimes with performances, there are moments where the characters relax. So you are obviously always keeping up a high internal energy. But if your characters relax, you can relax a little more. And Annette is just never relaxed, except for with Tilly.
Yeah.
So a scene I found actually really difficult because I had thought I had all planned out because we always think we know how it's going to go was the scene with Richard. I actually found that really difficult. And certainly the scenes with the scene our first sort of scene together properly, me and Shaz on the sofa when Ben and Tilly are back from work. I remember
Yeah.
that being really and we were establishing our relationship so quickly, and you meet us in such a moment that we had to establish what has been but what is currently there. And I remember that was so uncomfortable, and literally I remember like swallowing and trying desperately not to cry, because that feeling of everything I say is being taken the wrong way. I'm scared of saying anything. I'm scared of putting a foot wrong. And anything you do say then ends up sounding rude or provocative. And so I remember that being it taking me aback, because I always knew that scene would be a bit ooh, but playing it was particularly yeah, it almost feels like taking an emotional blow, you know.
Yeah.
So that was something that then subsequently the scenes with me and him were just always that on the edge of am I going to be able to get through this without saying anything wrong?
Right. Yeah. I get it. I get it. Well, I mean, yeah, it was a wonderful performance. So,
Yeah.
you made it through to the other side, and congratulations again.
Thank you so
And
much.
good luck with everything. I see you're involved in a lot of future projects. So
I mean,
good.
hopefully some of them come together.
Yeah. 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 So good luck with everything. And
Thank
it
you
was
so
great
much.
chatting with you as always.
Thank you, Will.